This episode of the Alden Report is brought to you by Buddy Boy Barbecue. Buddy Boy Barbecue is made from the best of all the major barbecue regions in the United States. They create sauces that have their favorite aspects of each region by perfectly melding those tastes. Never any preservatives or high fructose corn syrup. You will recognize every ingredient they use. Buddy Boy Barbecue sauces and rubs are available in stores nationwide and also online at buddyboybbq.com. That's buddyboybbq.com. All right. Well, welcome back to another edition of the Alden Report. My name is Michael Alden. We are here in Blue Bay Studios, and you know, I always think about my opening. I always tell people how excited I am to do this broadcast and this podcast, and I really, really am excited because I love talking to people like my next guest. My next guest is Armando Montelongo. He is the classic entrepreneur. I love his story. Like me, he grew up with nothing. He grew up poor. He knows what it's like to be on food stamps. He knows what it's like to be in subsidized housing. He knows what it's like to want to not be able to get it. And he has taken that desire and that growth and really turned himself into a real estate mogul. He's an author. He's a public speaker. He's a TV personality. He's also, more importantly, he's a philanthropist. He's a father. The guy's really doing it all. I'm really, really happy to have him here. Armando, thanks for being my guest.
Thank you, Mike, for having me. How are you today?
I am absolutely fabulous. Again, I'm really, really excited to have you here. So just before we get started, I think we told you how it works. We like to ask everybody the same questions, and it's about 10 of them. We go about 30, 40 minutes, depending on how it goes. Did you get the questions?
Yes, I did. That's great. I'm ready. And is there a scoring system for whoever gets the question the best? Is there a scoring and ranking system?
There is, but it's like
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding, but I'm ready to do it. I'm excited.
No, I love the question. I was going to say there is, but we keep the score rankings to ourselves, like kind of like trying to hit the New York Times. No one really knows how it works.
Nice.
All right. Well, again, in my introduction to you, I talked about your background, and obviously you're sitting at the helm of multiple companies, successful companies, generated millions of dollars. Pretty much. I mean, I follow you on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I've seen you on television. Armando, basic question: how do you define success?
I define success as the impact that you have on the lives of other people. That is really, truly what success is, because initially we all start off trying to make money for ourselves or out of a survival instinct. But when you really rise to another level, and really it's about 3 or 4 levels up, where you make an impact on other people's lives, then you are umbrellaing success out, and it has a ripple effect. And so I define success as the impact you have on other people's lives, not just those that you can see, but those that you touch.
I love that answer. Again, in the introduction, for those of you who are just joining us, we are on with Armando Montelongo, and Armando's background is really just an amazing story. Armando, you grew up with nothing, and now you're, I saw that you on your website, that you donated $1 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's got to feel pretty good, right?
It feels tremendous to be able to help other people, to be able to help other individuals. We're in a car right now, and I'm in the car with my fiance Whitney, and we just left the poorest school, elementary school in San Antonio. And what we're going to be doing is not only setting them up a computer classroom for learning, but we've also made a deal with the school where we're going to repaint part of the school. But the best part is where we're going to bring in myself or my team once a month and begin to lift the lid for these young kids and teach them that there's a lot more they can be doing in life, that they don't just have to be, and this is in the words of the principal, a policeman or a fireman, because that's the only vocations that they really see, which are great vocations, but there's other things that they can do with their life as well, and really lift their lid to be able to realize that they can be anything they truly want to be.
I love that. I was going to hit you with a follow-up question on that, but I'm going to wait because I think we're going to get to it in the end. If not, I'm going to ask it in a second. Again, for someone like you who's experienced tremendous success, and again, I've watched your show on A&E, Flip This House, and I love some of the things he had to go through. But the next question I love to ask entrepreneurs and business people like yourself is what has been the biggest professional obstacle, and how did you overcome it?
The single largest obstacle that I had was deciding to open my own business. That was the single largest obstacle because it seemed like a brick wall. It seemed impossible. It seemed impossible to be able to generate my own income, to be able to depend upon myself for a check. And it was really, really, really scary considering the fact that my income had always been dependent either on being someone else's, employed by somebody else, or being my life being subsidized by the government. So that was the single largest obstacle. I remember I was in this donut shop one time, and I talked to this man, because the general contractor. He's like, Armando, why don't you just go do this? Like, why don't you just go be your own boss? And it seemed so simple to him because he was a general contractor. He had a business that made millions of dollars a year, and it seemed so. He goes, why don't you just go do that? And that, because he made it seem so simple, I was like, why don't I just go do this? And it really seemed that simple at that moment, though all the rest of the time before it seemed really, really complicated. And I thought, gosh, this is what is the difference between this man and me, is just going forward and going and doing it. And at that time, I was living in a garage, and I was on food stamps, and I was $50,000 in debt. And so the biggest single brick wall I had to get past was becoming a business person and opening that first business up. It was that first going for it that created the single biggest business obstacle in my life, because that took 30 years to get there, Mike. 30 years to get to that point. Now, every challenge I've had after that has been a much higher quality challenge than before that time period. Every problem I've had, every issue, has been a much higher quality. It's funny, I have a good friend of mine, we own a marina, and in this marina, we were talking about some challenges that we have going on in the marina, and we were kind of just saying, no, this is rich people problems. What we have right now, these are rich people problems, and which are great problems to have, a hell of a lot better than the problems I had when I was wondering, am I going to get my next food stamp check so I can really bring food home for my son? So it was that initial, how do I open up a business? How do I believe in myself enough to do that?
That's a great answer. So I do want to follow up on that. A lot of people, and I'm trying to understand when you say the obstacle was starting your own business, was it because you didn't just know what to do, like the actual mechanics of starting a business, or did you just not know how to run a business? Can you be more specific about that?
Yes, I think it was two parts. One, I did not know the mechanics of making money.
Okay.
So I did not understand that there is. I figured that there must be something that rich people had in their head going on that I didn't have in my head.
Okay.
So one was, what was the mechanics of running a business and to make money? And two was, I had the wrong psychology. Now, it's very easy to say that, but I inherently knew that I was scared. I inherently knew I wasn't determined. I knew I didn't have good follow through. I was really good at giving up. And I'll tell you, I actually applied as a driver for a pizza company. Okay, as a delivery driver for a pizza company, Michael. And they denied me the job. And I'm not going to tell you which pizza company it was, but I will tell you it had a domino effect on my life. So what happened was, I didn't know the mechanics, and I knew I didn't have the thought process that rich people have. And that was so scary to me. But I will tell you this, and it's really funny, because the minute I actually took that step to move forward and made that decision and say, I'm going to do it, and stop trying to make it perfect and stop trying to figure it all out, then the pieces began to fall in place. I got myself a mentor at that time. I was able to get a first real estate deal. And the pieces began to fall in place. Doesn't mean I didn't have problems. No, of course I had problems. But they were so much higher quality problems than what I had before. Meaning, you know that feeling that you have when you know you could be a lot more, or you could do a lot more, have a lot more, and it just gnaws you inside? Or if you're watching the Academy Awards or the Grammys and you're going, why am I sitting here watching someone else's life who's done everything that I wish I could do and has achieved things I believe I could achieve? And maybe it's not in acting and maybe it's not in music, but it's in success in terms of business. And I was sick of that feeling, of knowing that I could be a lot more than what I am, right? I hated that feeling. And so that was the feeling I wanted to get rid of. And once I made that leap, once I made that decision, and I got to tell you, it looks like the Grand Canyon. It is like stepping over a crack in the road. That's how easy it is once you take it.
Right.
And then all the answers begin coming.
I love it. I could continue. I could continue to follow up on these, but we do have 10 questions. I know your time is valuable, so I'm just gonna because I love hearing the story as well, and I'm sure the people listening and the viewers as well. But I'm gonna try and stick to the time of the questions because I know you're a busy guy. So, but thank you for that because that was just such great advice as well. Education is traditional higher education, meaning post high school, important for business success?
No. No.
Why is that?
No, not at all. I don't have a college education. I'm a K through 12 guy. I think college education is if you're looking to go into a few specific fields, doctors, lawyers. Listen, I have one of my lawyers who worked for me, and he went to Stanford. Okay, he spent 8 years in college, and he was close to $200,000 in debt. And he was making $70,000 a year working for me.
Right.
So either I don't pay my lawyers enough money, which I can tell you, I pay a lot of them way too much money, or he had not built the skill set to acquire the amounts of money he wants to acquire.
Right.
So the skill set that people need is how to actually create wealth and bring wealth and generate wealth into their life. That is the skill set, whether it's real estate or it's a different platform. I have multiple businesses, not just real estate businesses. So there is the skill set of bringing money into your business, into your life, that they don't, unfortunately, and gosh, I really wish they did, because if they did, there would be a lot more prosperity in the world. Teaching people how to make money is not really taught in college. And I think college is fine for some people. I think it's great. But the skill set of making money is not taught at conventional colleges, and so that is why the world has people like you and I, Mike, is because it's our job to bring it to there. And there's not a lot of individuals who do this, who really go and bring it. Really, for all the millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires in the world, there's not a lot of people who go and share this and bring this. And so those people who are listening to your podcast right now, those people who are listening to this Periscope, these are the ones who they're here for a reason.
Right.
And they're here because they have it inside of them. Okay, I just talked to this principal at the school I told you that Whitney and I were at. And at this school, they said they have an alternative area of the school. And I asked them, what does that mean? They said, well, for kids who get in trouble at other schools, they send them to this school. And I said, do you understand that this means that those are future potential entrepreneurs? And here's what I mean by that. These individuals, they have a certain energy level, they have a certain enthusiasm, they have a certain intelligence that the conventional way does not work for them.
Right.
Well, that is the definition of being an entrepreneur. And the principal who really gets it, and I loved it, she said, yes, many of them are leaders, and so they don't like following the guidance of other people. And it's like, we're going to take these kids in this alternative area of your school, and we're going to make this, not the alternative area, we're going to make it the entrepreneur area. Because these are future entrepreneurs in the wake. That's what's going on with these kids. They're going to do one of two ways. They're going to use that intelligence, that drive, and that energy for doing bad, or we're going to move them towards being entrepreneurs and doing good.
I love it. I love what you're doing because we talk a lot about that here as well. You're right. Kids, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, college. I mean, I remember when I graduated law school, I got to the end of law school and realized that I have no idea how to even be a lawyer, let alone make money. But I love that you're taking your time and now talking to elementary school kids about, like you said, other professions, other businesses, and teaching them now that there are other ways to get out of the despair and the neighborhoods that they're growing up in, and not just, like you said, being a policeman or a fireman, because that's the only thing they see. And I love it. I love your answer. It makes a lot of sense. As you were describing those kids, I was probably saying to myself, those kids sound like probably me and you when we were kids.
Yeah. And all this energy that you want to do something with, you need an outlet. And you need something creative to go do. You need some sort of an outlet. And so if you give them that outlet, and they're kids, all they know is they need to do something. They just need the direction of what to do with it. And that's our job as an adult who've made a lot of money, is to give them an outlet so they can turn that and formulate into success.
I love it. Now, you had mentioned, I was just, on your website earlier before the program and yesterday, and making sure I know as much as I can about you. But I mean, you have a restaurant, you have an investment company, you have a training company, a coaching company. You personally coach people. You obviously, I would say your bread and butter is probably the real estate world. You're an author. You're doing all these things. So I want to ask you this question in encompassing all of those businesses. Right now, what is your most effective form of marketing? What are you doing to market your brand and the things that you're doing?
The most effective form of marketing for us ever has been television. And what I mean by that is just doing television shows. The second most effective form of marketing, and I know you only asked me for one, but I think it's very, very relevant to say because it's passing up television for us right now, and that is video. So video marketing is very critical for business today. It's the platform of what you're going to be able to reach those people, have most people listen to you, and really get to know your customers, and your customers get to know you.
Love it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with television.
Yeah.
Now, again, for someone like yourself, who and myself, of course, that we're entrepreneurs, we're busy people. You've got probably a lot more going on than even I do. What do you do outside of the business life to de-stress? How do you handle stress? Because as an entrepreneur, Inc. magazine had a great article about a couple of years ago about how entrepreneurs are probably have the highest incidence of anxiety, depression, and even suicide. What do you do to de-stress?
Sex. No.
Listen, there's a certain level of truth to that, right? I mean, of course.
There's a lot of truth to it. But let's break it down a little bit. There's a few things. So I don't feel a lot of stress, and that's a truthful statement. That's not me trying to puff up or be tough.
Sure.
I don't feel a lot of stress in my life, but there's things that I do. So I get up very early. I get up early every morning. My days where I sleep in late is 4:30. So I typically get up at 4, and I hit the gym, and then I go and I have my protein shake, and I read, and I listen to positive videos. And that's the first thing that I do. So I make sure the information in my head is right for the day. Okay? Make sure my head and my heart are screwed on right for the day. That I'm going to help other people. That I'm in a positive frame of mind. That's what I do every day. By starting early, I'm not stressed. I'm able to knock out activities by 6 to 6:30 a.m. When the rest of the world's kind of asleep. And I'm able to get the business at hand done. That right there greatly minimizes my stress. So outside of work, what do? I spend a lot of time with my family, with my fiance. I spend a lot of time with my kids. And by doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, by spending time with my kids, by working on my body, and by working on my business, and not getting involved in small minutia, that really takes the stress levels down for me, because I'm handling all the things that are most important. And by the way, here's what's equally most important. Versus I'm going to skydive to de-stress, what I do is I don't get involved in minutia.
Right.
So I don't get involved in people's personal lives. I don't get involved in gossip. I don't get involved in negativity. I don't get involved in those things. I don't get involved in things that I only get myself involved in things that either bring a lot of love to my family or make a lot of money. And those are the things that I spend my time on. And that keeps the stress levels way down. It's why you can run so many businesses and be successful and not feel like most people think, gosh, you have many businesses, you must be running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You must be like scared. You must be freaking out all the time or have anxiety. Not true. I never use the word depression. Me saying it right then was probably the second time I've said that word in 5 or 6 years. It's not something that I feel. I don't have anxiety, and no, I'm not on much medication either. I handle things that are supposed to get handled first, and I stay away from minutia.
I think it's great advice. As I'm listening to to your day, first thing that came to mind is what time do you go to bed at night? But as I'm listening to what you're saying, it sounds like, and every successful person that I know, like yourself, it sounds like what you're doing is you're getting prepared every single day, like you said, mentally and physically, so that no matter what comes your way, you're able to handle that and not, like you said, and not necessarily freak out or deal with it, because you've been prepared from 4 o'clock in the morning on, where most people are still in bed.
100%, and that's very true, Mike. And here's the thing: I want the audience to know I have disappointments and I have failures. we will fail more in business in a given week than we will have successes, okay? But what happens is, so failure's okay. People think failures are bad. Failure's okay. But as you begin to build success and you have more successes, what happens is you'll have more successes and quicker when you don't get worked up about the things that normally create doubt or frustration in your mind.
Right.
And so by pre-preparing, like you're saying, then those little things go away, and they're not even doubt. They don't even create frustrations. You're like, okay, cool. That didn't work. Let's do this now. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. Let's try this now. Or that was a good idea, but we missed it. Let's do this now. And so they don't become failures. What they become is really building blocks for your business.
Makes a lot of sense. Folks, we are on with Armando Montelongo. Again, he is the classic entrepreneur. He's such an amazing story. He's an author. He's a public speaker. He's a real estate mogul. He owns multiple businesses. You can see him on television. You can also find him online at armandomontelongo.com. He's also on Instagram at Armando_Montelongo, and he's on Twitter at Montelongo. Are you on Snapchat as well?
I'm not on Snapchat. Apparently, I'm moving towards it. We're going to be getting there. I'll tell you something that I do a lot. I have a public page, Armando Montelongo. So the public page for the audience is one with the little blue check marks. It means you're a public person. If they go to Armando Montelongo with a little blue check mark, I do a lot of video feeds, and they're pretty fun. They're pretty cool. I'll do anything from how to make money to show them really busted up, disgusting houses. I walked a house the other day that is a video that, like, in no matter of time, had 50,000 views just because we called it a 70s porn house, right? It was a really disgusting house. Every room like a different color. So that was a lot of fun. So that might be a great way for people to find us, too.
Is this on your on your Facebook page?
On our Facebook public page, it's Armando Montelongo, and it has a little blue check mark. That's how you know it's the public page.
All right, wonderful. Again, so if you're looking for Armando, you can find him he's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, he's on Twitter. His main website is armandomontelongo.com. Armando, this sentence again, I gave you the questions in advance. I know you're on the road, so I'm guessing you were ready for them. But you know what? I don't think you really even needed the questions in advance, but that's okay. I wanted. This is a kind of a fill in the blank. If my company lacks blank, then we will not succeed.
Integrity.
Okay, I like that. Yep.
Warren Buffett says, if you're going to hire someone, number one, they need integrity. 2 is honesty, and 3 is energy. And if they don't have a number 1, hope they're dumb and lazy.
Yeah. No, I think
you have to have people who have integrity. I was just going to hire somebody to do some charitable work for me the other day. Okay, a new person come up to help us with our charity, help us with our philanthropy. And I was bringing this individual on, and they asked whether they're an employee, if they could come on as a contractor because they don't want to lose their unemployment.
I've had that happen to me a few times too. I say, what do you think? We're running we're running a real business here.
Yeah, exactly. So what I told HR was, and this person was going to be working directly with me, and I told HR, rescind the offer.
Yeah.
It's because, in my opinion, that is a lack of integrity. And this is my opinion. It's a lack of integrity. But here's the problem. If they're willing to make a claim against the government for something, listen, I don't have a problem with unemployment.
Right.
I had to go on unemployment. I lost my job, food stamps. I get it. But the minute I opened a business, the minute I made money, technically, legally, even though I had my own business, I could have kept unemployment.
Yeah.
But the minute I got that first check, I jumped off of it because I knew, well, number 1, it was the right thing to do, and number 2, if I stayed on unemployment, I would have a mindset of having someone else take care of me. I have a mindset of really, this is something that I am owed, which is a poverty mindset.
Right.
So what happened is, the other thing is this, and this is what people need to know who are listening to this. That person is making a false claim against the government. So if they're willing to make a false claim against the government, at what time and point will they be willing to make a false claim against your company?
Right.
Integrity. My company must have integrity, and the people who work there must have integrity.
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? I've had it. People kind of give me the same proposition before, and you just literally You were a lot nicer. I've literally thrown people out of my office and used a couple nice what I like to call sentence enhancers here in Boston.
Nice. I like it.
Now a lot of young people are listen to this podcast and they watch on YouTube and Periscope. I have a lot of young people that work for me. I know that you do as well. I think of the episode on A&E, and I don't know if he's still with you. I think he was he was an intern with you first. You gave him the opportunity to flip a house. He was really young and he had a lot of. Is he still? Before I ask that question, that guy still with you? I forget his name. He was.
You know what? His name is Chris. What's really funny? A lot of people ask me about Chris. I get asked about Chris all the time. Chris is a really funny person. He's a really funny individual. Chris is not with me, but we have a lot of mutual friends. Yeah. So once in a while, our mutual friends will kind of send messages back and forth. So Chris is a really funny guy. Chris is actually married. Now, and I believe has a child.
Oh, okay.
So, but Chris is a really funny guy, has a lot of talent, but he's no longer with me.
I think the reason why I think of him is because my next question is really geared towards the younger generation. I remember him being that young intern and you giving him the opportunity. So the question is what advice would you give young people who are in the workforce or young people who are trying to kind of break through as an entrepreneur on how to grow? What would you give them for advice on how to grow?
Well, I'm going to give them the advice I gave. I give to all my students, but one in particular. I'm thinking about this gentleman by the name of Matt. Matt lives in St. Louis. Okay, Matt came to me when he was 19 years old. He's a smart guy, but as what happens a lot of times, and he'll tell you this. These are his words, not mine. Thought he knew it all. Okay, but he really didn't think he knew it all because he came to us because he wanted to learn more. So I told Matt, number one, Matt, you have to have a mentor. You have to have someone who's going to guide you to success, somebody who's already been there, because you'll get there 10 times faster by not making the mistakes a mentor has made. And then number two, you have to do exactly what the mentor tells you to do. Exactly. So Matt, by age 22, Matt, his partner walks him in and says, "Hey, I need you to look at this, Matt." And Matt goes, "What are we looking at?" He goes, "We're looking at our P&L, our balance sheets here." He goes, "I just want to tell you congratulations. You are officially a millionaire at age 22.
Wow.
And so 3 years, because Matt listened, he got a mentor and followed the steps directly. By age 22, he had become a millionaire.
Wow.
So it's doable. Young people nowadays are so smart, and they're so savvy, and there's so many pieces of connection that they have. But there's also something working against them. There's more distractions than ever. But if they take these distractions and they use them the right way and not make them distractions and they get a mentor, they can make a lot of money and they can actually be set and have the ability, I don't recommend retiring, but have the ability to retire at a very, very young age. Okay? So they have a lot of distractions, but if they get a mentor and they do it exactly, they can make a lot of money.
I like that advice because, I've known of you for years. You and I actually did business a long time ago, if you recall. But one of the things I like about that piece of advice that you just gave, the young people listening is that's exactly what you did to get out of poverty, right? I mean, you found a mentor, right?
I did. If people ask me what makes me different, if they ask me all the time, what makes me different? Why did you do it? And I said, I let them know I'm not the smartest person. I'm not the smartest person in the building. I'm probably not even the most determined in a lot of cases. But I am a great student. And what that means is I found a mentor, and I did exactly what my mentor told me to do. Like if he told me, Armando, you need to paint your car blue, I would paint my car blue. If he told me, but it didn't matter then, I had a sky blue minivan, so it wouldn't matter, right? But if he told me, you need to hop around the mall on one leg, I would have done it.
Right.
I did exactly what my mentor told me to do, and I went from being $50,000 in debt on food stamps to making $1 million my first year and $3 million in 3 years.
Wow.
Now, had I done it my way or a variation of it, how would I eventually gotten out of it? Maybe, but there's no way I would have made $1 million my first year and $3 million in 3 years. No way.
Right.
I know that.
It's great advice. I love it. So again, if you're out there, if you're a young person, you're looking to grow, find yourself a mentor. They're literally all around you. I did the same exact thing, Armando, as a young lawyer. In fact, I was talking to our outside counsel when I first started practicing law. I picked up the phone and I called him. I said, I don't know any other lawyers because I grew up poor. I don't know anybody. You're the only lawyer I know, so you are going to be my mentor. And he and he did, and he taught me a lot. Next question, because we are talking about younger people as well, and we're talking about businesses, and I see a lot of younger people that are struggling. They're busy, they're working long hours, but they don't seem to be getting ahead. Can you give us a secret strategy or business technique that allows you and or your companies to be more efficient? Now, again, you have multiple companies, probably hundreds of employees. What's the strategy or the technique to be more efficient?
Okay, so this strategy is going to blow people away, and the reason why is because it's so simple, it's complex. Work on one thing at a time. Do one thing and one thing great. The problem with the world society right now is we are multitaskers. We actually think we can do multiple things and do them well. However, think about the greatest athletes in the world. Think about, this is my opinion, the greatest athlete of all time, Michael Jordan.
Sure.
Okay? Here he is, the greatest athlete, switches vocations, so his mind is split between basketball and baseball. He's like, no, he just practiced baseball. Yes, but he built a skill set on basketball, and yet he didn't excel to the level that he is in basketball.
Right.
Now, basketball, as a specialist, here's this guy, he's through the roof. So we think we are multitaskers. We think we can do all these things and do them well. Well, you can do a bunch of things medium. And mediocrity is going to earn you a below average living. Let me say that again. Mediocrity is going to earn you a below average living. You have to, and this is what we do in our company, we focus on one thing and one thing. So literally, we had people in our company who were working on 4, 5, 6 projects. We removed all our projects. Right. We gave them one project to work on until it was completed, and it didn't have to be perfect, but it had to be done extremely well, and then they get the next project.
Yeah, makes total sense. I had Kevin Harrington of Shark Tank on. He's also a good friend of mine, and he said recently that there was a study that came out that said United States people in the United States have the attention span now of a goldfish, which is about 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So you're right. Focus on one thing and be really, really good at it, and then move on to the next thing once you're done with that. Right? I think there's tons of research to back up what you just said, because I 100% agree with what you just said. It's not just your opinion or other people's opinion. There's hard science that shows. Folks, focus on the task at hand, get it done, then move on to the next thing. We're looking at our phones, we're looking at the computers, we got emails, we got people walking in and out of our office, you got stuff all over your desk, and there's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and all those other things.
Yes.
Focus, right? Focus on the task at hand, and you'll achieve your goals. It makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes, it absolutely works.
All right, so I got one last question for you. I'm going to skip over question 9 because I don't want to keep you too much longer. Again, we are on with Armando Montelongo. You can find Armando at armandomontelongo.com. His story is amazing. He started out with nothing. He was on food stamps. He was $50,000 in debt. He turned it around. He took that and that drive and became a multi-millionaire. He's literally a real estate mogul. He's on television. He's an author. He's a philanthropist. He's also a great father. I see pictures with him and his kids all the time. He's a public speaker, does a lot of different things. So again, if you want to learn how to grow, if you want to get into the real estate business, the other thing I love about Armando, there's a lot of guys out there, and I'm sure you have opinions about this as well. There's a lot of guys out there that are trying to teach people how to make money, but they've never done anything in their life. They're just trying to teach people how to be successful at being successful, and they've never been successful at anything. Well, Armando has done it, and he's doing it. And that's why I love having guys like Armando on the show. So last question, Armando, if you could leave our viewers and listeners with one piece of advice, you've given us amazing advice already. If you could leave us with one piece of advice in business, other than what you've already given us, hopefully you have it, what would it be?
Do it right now.
Love it.
No matter what it is, do it right now, because tomorrow will turn to the next day, and the next day will turn to next week. Then it'll become next month, next year, and before you know it, you're 50 years old and your life has passed you by. If you want to make a lot of money, do it right now. And I'm not talking about at the end of the day or when you go home today, but do something, find yourself a mentor, and do it right now, because this is one of the greatest prime times to be able to make money. But you have to do it right now. It's not something that can be put off. It's not something that can be procrastinated. It's not something that can be delayed. And by doing it, you will thank yourself. You will thank yourself for listening to this podcast. You'll thank yourself for people like Mike who bring this information to you. You'll thank yourself for the rest of your life. Your kids that you haven't had yet will thank you. Your future spouse or spouses will thank you. But do it right now.
Armando, that is such an amazing way to end the program. Thank you so much for spending the time. Again, we've been on with Armando Montelongo. If you want some more information about Armando, you can go to armandomontelongo.com. He's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. He's on Facebook. My name is Michael Alden. This has been the Alden Report. We are here in Blue Bay Studios talking to real guys and gals doing real things, making real money, real entrepreneurs. Armando, again, thanks for being my guest, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
My pleasure, Mike. Have a great day.
All right, you too. All right, take care.
Bye.
Folks, how awesome was that, huh? I mean, come on, really? I mean, that was just amazing, having a guy like Armando on, sharing that type of advice with you. I've met Armando, I've talked to him before, and the things that he said and the things that he was sharing with us is really, really just been amazing. This information, he charges thousands and thousands of dollars for people to sometimes, sit down with him, tens of thousands of dollars, and the advice that he gave us today for free is really amazing. I loved the last thing he said. I wanted to spend more time with him, but he's a busy guy, But what he said is do it right now. And I wanted to kind of put an exclamation point on that, but I didn't want to steal his thunder. It was really, really amazing what he said. If you think about it, if you've been listening to the whole thing, if you go back to what he said in the very beginning, which was one of the questions I asked him, which was, what was your biggest professional obstacle? And he said one of his biggest professional obstacles, or the biggest professional obstacle, was the fact that he didn't do it, or he didn't know how to do it, and he wasn't sure what to do. Ultimately, when he did it, he figured it out. And I find that so many people, and I'm sure he sees it all the time as well, so many people are afraid to just do it. It's not going to be perfect. The light is not always going to be green. The stars are never going to align. But listen to what he said. Whatever it is you want to do it right now, folks, because that's really when it's going to happen. Like what he said, it's you can't wait for it to happen. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be the next day. It's not going to be years from now. Do it right now. I loved what he said. I hope you enjoyed listening to this. I get really, really excited about having guys like Armando and gals, on our program that are telling us about real stuff. Real life business. I mean, he's out there doing it every single day. We didn't talk about it. One of his companies was ranked the #1 company by Inc. magazine as one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. We got we got guys like Armando, but we'll also bring on people in a couple of weeks. I have a sophomore in college who's written 3 books. He's going to come on and talk to us about the things that he's going through and the Y generation. So I get so excited that we're able to bring you this information. So again, my name is Michael Alden. For those of you that are obviously watching me on Periscope, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Snapchat. I hope you enjoyed this. And like Armando said, have a terrific day.
The preceding episode of the Alden Report was brought to you by Buddy Boy Barbecue. Buddy Boy Barbecue is made from the best of all the major barbecue regions in the United States. They create sauces that have their favorite aspects of each region by perfectly melding those tastes. Never any preservatives or high fructose corn syrup. You will recognize every ingredient they use. Buddy Boy Barbecue sauces and rubs are available in stores nationwide, and you can also find them online at buddyboybbq.com. That's buddyboybbq.com.